And good morning. Welcome to 757 Saturday Sports Talk as we talk with all of you out there, wherever you may be tuning in. We thank you for doing so on Cover Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with the folks on Cover Sports TV and the Virginia Beach Sports Club. We're on Facebook, the Facebook page of the Virginia Beach Sports Club, and on X or Twitter at 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's a glorious Saturday morning, the 13th day of January, the year 2024. We've got Ed Young here, the coach. We've got Vinny as well. Look, Vinny got a haircut. Maybe he didn't. I'm not sure. And I'm here with my Hat Hits purple hat to talk to all of you on this Saturday morning. Ed, I know it's been a rough, shall I say, 7 days for you, because even though the game for you Friday night didn't go the way you had hoped on the hardwood, which I'm sure we will dissect and get into, even worse for you was the collapse on NFL Week 18 in the league where they play for pay, where we must congratulate the man himself, Mr. Bruce Pearl. He is our regular season picks champion from a 1-6 start or something of that nature. Let me go look in the little pad here to see what his selections looked like after 2 weeks. He was 1-5 to start, 2-6-1 to start, and he was able to recover and go 27, 22-5. Very good job by Brucey. And in fact, 3-0 2 weeks ago and 2-1 last week. But the one that you hate even worse is when you had me beat. All you needed to do was not go 0-3 and I not go 3-0. And what happened? This guy went 3-0, and that guy went 0-3 as he shuts his eyes, shakes his head, and
give
it's
me
been
the
a rough
team.
few nights of sleep for you, hasn't it? How are you this morning, sir?
Give me the most horrible mood I could be in possible. We blew a 15-point lead last night. Second half, 15-point lead. You know probably better than me. I don't remember a game where we blew that big of a lead that late. Lost a game we should have won. Yes, hats off to Western Branch, but when you hand somebody something on a silver platter, they're going to do what they have to do to take care of it. And it's just not in a good mood. No sleep whatsoever. You can probably tell. No sleep whatsoever. Drove around half the night. I don't know where I was going, but
you look a little drowsy. So if I do this during the show, that's a pen, not a clock. And I say you're getting very sleepy, or I just talk for a long while, you might just nod off on me at this point, right?
No, I don't think I will. I'm too riled up to fall asleep. But the game's over. We've lost 3 of our last 4. 3 good teams, 3 close games, leads in all of them, and we can't close out right now. We just our inexperience shows. But I refuse to make excuses. As I said last night to somebody, what's our excuse with a 15-point lead? You hold a team to 39 points for 3 quarters, and then they score 38 in a quarter and a half. Explain that. We didn't do much different. And you're going to say, well, maybe you should have done different. No, you stick to what works. Well, maybe it wasn't working. Well, you can't change your whole team in the middle of the game. You got to go with what you have. But you know what? It's an experience. It's done with. We got Great Bridge on Tuesday. Our game planning. I'm going to watch a scout film after the podcast, and we go on. And equally upset, what 3 yo-yo teams screwed me last week?
Well, those teams would be the New England Patriots, who were a 1.5-point favorite, and they lost to the Jets.
And I changed that pick. I wanted to.
Remember, you were going to take Tampa Bay and copycat Bruce, which I gave you grief about, which I'm glad I did because I was going to then take New England. So that worked out beautifully for me. We will talk about the Patriots coming up with Bob Socci. He's the play-by-play voice of the New England Patriots, and once upon a time was doing Tides baseball on the radio station that we were doing the show on. And so we'll talk about that with Bob. And the Pats hiring Jerod Mayo, Kecoughtan alum. I think it's a great hire, as I think you do too, to replace the legendary Bill Belichick, who I do not think is done coaching, and I do think he'll be coaching somewhere. We're going to play some buy or sell coaching edition later on in the show. You'll hear from some victorious coaches this week, such as Jeremy Jordan of Grafton, Stefan Welsh of reigning Class 5 State Champion Woodside, and unfortunately for Ed, but fortunately for Bruins fans, Charles Thomas of Western Branch, who caught up with our man Jack Lowe after the game as well. But yeah, you lost on New England. You lost on Jacksonville -3.5. Boy, did they lay a stinky egg to end the season. And I had the Jags in some wink, wink future plays, if you know what I'm saying, not just divisionally, but conference-wise and Super Bowl-wise. That went down in a crapper in a toilet. And then you also lost on the Colts +1.5. They can't catch the ball in the flat, losing to the Houston Texans 23-19. And we got Super Wild Card Weekend this weekend, Edward, where we will talk about the games, which includes C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, and the Texans taking on Bob Lanham's Cleveland Browns with a couple of Virginia natives in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he of Bethel High fame, and Juan Thornhill, he of UVA and Alta Vista High fame.
Playoffs will be interesting. And I heard, and I think you heard, the world has heard, Kansas City, Miami, 20-something below zero.
Yeah, it's going to be chilly.
And
you got to wear the parka.
You couldn't go to that game, period. Any exposure of skin under 20 and below, it's frostbite automatic.
You remember Tom Coughlin when he coached against the Packers and he looked like a red cherry tomato?
Yeah, I mean, he was frozen in time.
Frozen, no question.
And then Buffalo and Pittsburgh are going to have a snowball fight at halftime, I heard.
Boy, you are chipper today.
I'm not in a good mood. I will let you know.
I can tell. I'm not going to try to mess with you too much today because you could. By the way,
I yelled at the dog, and it's not his fault. And
you yelled at the dog. How'd you yell at the doggy?
Yeah, I'm not in a good. This would be a day not to be around many people for me, and I'm not usually like that. But I am.
Some would debate that. Some would debate that.
I am today. I'm just not in that type of mood. So very little sleep and aggravation, and but you know what? Let's not rain on everybody else's parade. Let's do some good things with the show and have some fun with this. And
let's do that and go through some scores. We'll flash scores. Yeah, we'll flash some of them up on the ticker now. In fact, as we speak, to go through it. And by the way, just to get it out of the way for you, just to let you get through your misery. Would you like to hear, as we go through some of the girls basketball scores skating on our ticker, would you like to hear from the victorious coach of the Bruins and Jack Lowe right now and Charles Thomas, just to get it out of your way, get it done with?
I'm going to replay the
Jack
game.
Was already, he was diligently preparing his Ed Young questions after 3 quarters of play, up 12. He was looking forward to interviewing Coach Young, to play it on Coach Young's show in the morning. And then everything went the other direction, even though Jack, by the way, does love his Bruins. That's another story for another time. But, hey, he was all ready and raring to go, and you and your guys couldn't hold your end of the bargain. So
yeah, we didn't do it. And in all due respect for Charles, he did a great job on taking advantage of our mistakes and capitalizing them on points, never wavering, which is what I expect him to do. So, yeah, he has all the right in the world to go ahead and do that interview and talk, and it'll bring back last night's game, but go ahead and do it.
Here it is. Charles Thomas with Jack Lowe following Western Branch's thrilling comeback from 12 down, 15 down. I'm not even sure if we got to 16 or 18. In overtime, it was a good atmosphere and a heck of a battle over there in Suffolk. And here's what Coach Thomas told Jack afterwards at 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Hatfield and Coach Young at the PLEX on Cova Sports TV.
All right, I'm here with head coach Thomas of the Western Branch Bruins after their victory over Nansemond River. Coach, just what are you telling your guys to just stay locked in and stay loaded, despite, I think y'all were down by about 16 at one point, being able to come back, keeping them in the game?
To be honest with you, man, this is what we expect at Nansemond River. Nansemond River, man, great program throughout the years, even when I was before I became a JV coach. Coach Ed Young, one of the best coaches in the area, great coach. Nansemond has a great program. So I have a lot of respect for Nansemond River. But we knew anytime you play Nance River, I don't care if their record is not good or good, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight. Guys came in a little bit flat, little flat, but they recovered well in the second half, made some small adjustments. Just told them to stay locked in, don't lose focus on what they're doing, and guys stepped up.
Yeah, so what do you have to say about the defense in the fourth quarter? Plenty of turnovers forced. Yeah. They went very scoreless.
Jamar Parker, man, energy guy. Markel Smith, energy guy. They just elevated in the fourth quarter, man, and they got turnovers and steals. It was a great thing because I'm trying to get to play that way all four quarters. But sometimes, you got to get what you can get out of them. Just find a way to turn it on, and they did a good job turning it on at the right time.
Yeah. And he was a little quiet there at the end, but Ellis, right, he hit those 2 threes and a layup in the fourth quarter that kind of got the run going. Just how much of an impact has he had on his teammates, the coaching staff, just overall on the team? Over the last few weeks, he's had some excellent games.
Yeah, he's been around the 30-point guy. I don't know what he had tonight. I haven't looked at the score sheet tonight, but the last 2-3 games he's been about 30 points. He's done a great job still getting other guys involved. And that's the one thing I push him to do is stay humble and keep the teammates involved. But he knows when it's time for him to hit shots, and we need him to hit shots.
Yeah. And then final question, what do you have to say about the students and the parents that made their way to Nansen River? A crowded place for both sides.
If I could give them all a hug, I would, man. That student session was rocking. Our parents were rocking, man. Tell you what's going to be crazy is when they come back to us, they're going to come back to us and they're going to come back ready to compete. But I'm going to tell you something. Our Bruin Crazies are special to me. I love y'all Bruin Crazies, man. I don't take y'all for granted. Our parents are great. So it's a great school victory. One of the things I teach our kids, have pride in your school, have pride in your family, have pride in our community. And we love Western Branch High School.
So there you have it. That was Charles Thomas, head basketball coach at Western Branch, doing a fine job in his first year at the helm after taking over for Paul Hall, one of your former assistants, Ed, who had taken the Bruins to a couple of state tournament appearances, perennial contender. The stats show last night he had about 32 points. I think it was Ellis Wright, couple of block shots, 10 rebounds. Victor Parson with 14 there. Looked like you had a couple guys in double figures, including Haven Nicholas, who had that dunk, I think, to end the half. But Western Branch recovered from last week's loss in the Bruin Showcase at home to Bruton. Some may say, oh, my goodness, they were a Class 6, was in a Class 2. But Bruton, as you know, a pretty good Bay Rivers team that's in our top 10 in our Class 2 rankings on Virginia Preps. We'll flash those across the ticker coming up here in just a moment as we have some of the scores from last night in boys basketball showing. We had the girls basketball scores earlier. But they're going to be a factor in Class 6, even though they're not viewed as the favorite in Region A, like, say, Lansdowne and Oscar Smith. They can be pesky.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had a great start to the year. I think they were 8-0. And the Bruton loss was right after the game of last week after we beat Denby in their showcase. And I was a little surprised when I heard that Bruton beat them. Okay, I think they're better than Bruton. But Bruton's not, the proverbial chopped liver. They got two really, really good guards. Very active team. And they took advantage of Western Branch's mistakes and where Western Branch was not strong at that point. That opposite happened last night. Western Branch, as Charles said in the interview, they never lagged. They never quit. And they forced turnovers and then took our turnovers and converted them to points. It's one thing to create turnovers, but you've got to convert them to points to change the game around. They completely changed the tempo, momentum of the game completely around. And that doesn't happen a lot when you're down double digits, second half. They did that. And again, we contributed to that by playing completely different than what we did in the first half or the first three quarters even. But again, hats off to them. They do have a tremendous program too. He talks about respect for me and our program. We're the same way. We kind of mirror each other. When Paul left us and took the Western Branch job, he took that program to a completely different level than what they had been. And I don't think Charles will do anything to hurt that program either. They'll continue to win it. And I'm hoping when we go over there, we'll just try to return what they did to us on our floor. We'll bring hopefully bring our River Rowdies who were in effect last night also. And it was a great atmosphere, great high school game with the gym extremely loud. We had a bigger crowd at Kings Fork, but last night that gym was louder than the game at Kings Fork, probably because of the score. Kings Fork never in the game. But it's what high school basketball is all about in terms of if you win, it's a great feeling. When you lose, it's just drudgery Saturday.
Let's go through some more high school basketball scores from Friday night across the 757 and beyond. You can always jump in with us, comment on the show, like, share, and subscribe. And we are streaming on Kecoughtan Sports TV as well as 757 Sports Talk on Twitter or X, Facebook, and, of course, on the front page of VirginiaPreps.com. Go up there and like, share, and subscribe to everything we got up there for you as well. Jack says, sorry, Coach Young, as he comments on there. He was there at the game. Looking forward to talking to you, but it didn't happen. Although, I don't know.
Jack, ain't no need to be sorry, man. Hey, he's an alumnus of Western Branch?
He goes to Western Branch.
All right, Jack, you should be happy for your squad.
Trust me, he is. He's just doing that to make you feel better, but it ain't going to make you feel any better.
They should have. The Room Crazy should have had him up on his shoulder and pass him around the crowd.
Oh,
they do that with the Cameron Crazies. But no, hey, I don't need nobody to feel sorry for me or down, whatever.
Well, not too many do. Don't worry.
Yeah,
you dig your own grave, as we say.
Yeah, my past speaks for itself. We'll be back. Trust me, we will be back. We'll be a different team Monday in practice. That is going to happen. And I have Great Bridge. I don't want to give you bulletin board material, but you're next. And the attitude we have, that we will have, we'll be a little different team on Tuesday.
All right. You heard the warning there, Scott Bigby. Geez, Scott's a good guy. How dare you warn him like that? Other action from Friday night. There was identical scores in the Beach District. Kellum Cox, Lansdowne Green Run. Both final scores were 53-51. Kellum beat the Falcons 53-51 behind 21 points and 6 assists. 6 dimes from Alex Etheridge, who was a Virginia Preps Classic MVP last year. Could he get it this year? Well, the Knights will be in action next week against the Franklin Broncos, as you see that scrolling across our ticker with the matchups. Lansdowne had a 15-point lead. It went by the wayside against Green Run, which came roaring back behind Kecoughtan Farrar, the quarterback in football, as well as David Trey Miller. Each of them had 13 points, but the Lansdowne Eagles got 18 points from Daryl Stevens. Go-ahead game-winning basket from Demir Pollard. You remember his older brother, Demetrius, and older sister, Nyla. We covered them. And Deshaun Spellman, big game for him as he had 5 block shots, double-figure points, couple of 3 balls. Lansdowne outlasting Green Run 53-51. That gives Dwight Robinson and the Eagles a leg up on Kenneth Harris and the Stallions, a 10-9 series lead since 2008-09. So with it being 9-9 going into last night, Ed, in the last 16 years, it was fitting that it would take more than 32 minutes to decide a victor in that one. Much like Kellum and Cox, pretty good rivalry, close matchup, going down to the wire with those 2 games.
Yeah, when I heard who the matchup was, I would expect a 2-3 point ball game. Not surprised about overtime. Usually the cream of the beach right there, going against each other. Different coaching philosophies on how you attack each other. Not surprised about that, and I think you'll see both those teams in their respective regions in the end come playoff time.
Also in the Beach District, Timothy James Jr., 22 points to lead the Salem Sun Devils past Princess Anne, 53-41. They bounced back from last week's loss to Kempsville. Didn't you coach Timothy James Sr. at Norview? I thought so.
Coach's dad at Norview High School. He's a good one. He's going to be better than his dad. I told his dad, I said, I've seen him play. He can do a little bit more than what you did. Tim was a hard worker when I had him, more of an inside guy. Once we got his confidence to stay inside of him, he was a very productive player, and I wish good things for Tim Jr.
Circle on the docket, Salem playing Green Run on, it's going to be Wednesday now, the 24th. They were supposed to play this past Tuesday, that it's going to be made up because of weather. They had to make up some games. Well, as you know, Tuesday you were supposed to play, I think the Ponies of Chincoteague and some other teams scheduled to play, and it didn't happen because of weather. So there you have it there. Also coming up on Tuesday, Kempsville visiting Green Run. Speaking of the Chiefs, we had Darren Centerland on last week. His Chiefs victorious over First Colonial 77-39 behind Emmanuel Angila's 19 points, Jeremiah White's 14, Jayon Griffin with 9 points, 8 assists. Kempsville will be in action against the Monacan Chiefs in the nightcap of next Saturday's Virginia Preps Classic. Chiefs versus Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. Now, will I take the Kansas City Chiefs tonight on Peacock against the Dolphins? And by the way, how do you get Peacock? Oh my goodness, on NFL greedy. Don't get me started on that rant.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm already in the mood. I don't want to get in the mood where you put it on pay-per-view for NFL playoff games. Are you?
Yeah,
They
very.
need that money. The NFL really needs that money.
They do. No question about it. Also, you had last night. Eastern District, Booker T. Washington, a winner over Granby, 66-57. Southeastern District, Grassfield, a winner over Hickory, 72-52. Private Schools, Atlantic Shores over Gateway, 82-27. Bruton in the Bay River is a winner over War Hill, 54-51. Brandon Freeman with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists as the Panthers got it done. Grafton, a winner over Smithfield, 49-47. And let's stop there. They beat Smithfield coming from 13 down to beat the Packers there in the house that Keith once helped build. Would you like to hear from Monday night? Grafton had a thriller with the Lafayette Rams. And in fact, New Kent got the better of Lafayette, which won a thrilling game later on in the week. Lafayette's had a heck of a schedule here lately. They won a close one. They lost a close one. They lost another close one. But Monday night out in Williamsburg, it was a big atmosphere, Ed, with the Rams of Lafayette and the Clippers of Grafton, a.k.a. the Mortgage Man. Lafayette, by the way, did beat Bruton 60-57 on a buzzer beater on Wednesday from Shamar Welsh. Would you like to hear from Jeremy Jordan, the man himself, after that game on Monday?
Let the Mortgage Man speak.
Let the Mortgage Man speak, Ed says. So let's hear that conversation from Monday night in Williamsburg. It is Hatfield and Young at the Plex. Like, share, and subscribe. All right, here with Grafton head basketball coach Jeremy Jordan after the Clippers' thrilling 59-57 win over the Lafayette Rams to move to, I think, 9-1 on the season now, Coach. 251 wins for you in your career. And you've had some thrilling games over the years, Bay Rivers postseason. This one was a wild one. You got up 22-6, played outstanding, and you knew Lafayette would make some type of a run, and then it's Aaron Waddy with the game winner for you with 3 seconds to go. Pretty fantastic finish for you.
Yeah, it was, man. I mean, I'm so proud of our guys tonight. I mean, that locker room's electric for all the right reasons. I think ultimately for us, the biggest thing was we battled and handled adversity extremely well tonight. I mean, we had Chase Santiago out, Jaden Brown, our 6-man out. Jacoby Brownlee gets dual technical fouls is out, and Kyler Coleman's out with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. So with 4 fouls. So we found ourselves in a situation where we talk about adversity over the course of the season. I'm not sure if that. I mean, you're gonna look that up in the dictionary. You might say Grafton basketball in there moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at some point in the sense we have some JV guys to help us out because you're running out of bodies at that point against a Lafayette team that's no slouch either. Also coming in 8-1, got a very dynamic guard in Jarquez Garrett, who's among the area's leading scorers. What was the game plan coming in? Because he didn't get going until about midway second into the third quarter.
Yeah, he's an electric player, and we got a lot of respect for their program, especially Garrett. I think he's certainly one of the top players in the league. Night in and night out. So we just tried to neutralize him and slow him down a little bit. We know that ultimately he's a good enough player that he's going to get his, especially in transition. So we really tried to put a lot of emphasis on finding him in the half-court set, trying to keep him, off of boards. But even with that, he got some big crucial, offensive rebounds that led to second chance points for them. So, ultimately, it's just I'm just so proud of our guys.
I think statistically, unofficially, you finished up with a 19-8 assist advantage. So,
Wow.
I mean, did you feel like, even though they have some guys that can do some things one-on-one like him and also Asa Fehrenbach for them, that if you share the ball, make the extra pass, cut, do those simple things, those discipline, fundamental things you preach, that it would shine through late for you?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about weathering the storm and making the extra pass and being unselfish, right? I mean, that's what we pride ourselves on. We're a pretty good team and can beat anybody when 5 guys are functioning as well. So, our ability to find guys in transition, make the extra pass, play unselfish. And I thought we did a really good job for the most part executing our sets down the stretch too. We got some good buckets. We might not have scored every time, but, our ability to run sets efficiently, even with substitutions in the game, was really critical for us.
You're down 4 under 5 minutes to go after they had rallied from the 16-point deficit, took the lead a couple of times. Is this a game that maybe you might not have won a season ago or right out the jump in December? What do you think?
It's hard to say. Every team's different, right? Every team takes its own identity. We want to pride ourselves on getting stops on the defensive side of the ball. So we knew that there would be possessions in the game to enable us to get back in it. So it was going to take getting one stop at a time, and we were able to do that. And, again, my guys off the bench, some of which have not hardly played all year, to come in one of the biggest games of the year or the biggest game of the year to this point. And, to get critical road wins at New Kent and at Lafayette is huge for us, for the first half of the season.
Last two for let you run. You have some all-league caliber players with Brownlee and Coleman that didn't play the full game tonight for obviously the foul issues. But how happy for your kid like Waddy to step through in a moment like this? This will probably build some confidence for him moving forward, right?
Yeah, he's special, man. And he was a kid last year that played limited games because of an ankle injury all throughout the JV season. And, we see him every day in practice, he works hard. He's a great teammate. He plays really hard at all times. Yes, sir, no, sir type kid, military background. So he's as a coach, that's, we wish we'd had 15 of those types of guys, right? But Aaron Waddy, tonight made a name for himself in the league and across the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, you're now 9-1. The only loss was to Oscar Smith, who's presently ranked number 1 in Classics. And you played them well in the Iverson Holiday Showcase. Yeah. You'll still have some Bay Rivers battles with guys like this team, Smithfield, Boot, and the list goes on. But
no doubt.
As you look at big term, long term, big picture, what are the goals for this group, and how good can this team be in your eyes?
I mean, look, we're not real flashy, right? I call us kind of vanilla, right? And there's a lot of reasons why we're kind of vanilla, but I think ultimately for us, we're just, we're more of a blue collar type team, right? We want to put our work boots on every day and just work and, give ourselves a chance in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes to go. And we talk about that night in and night out against good quality teams. If we're within 4 or 5 with 4 minutes to go, we believe that what we do is sometimes better than the opposing team, and our execution down the stretch enables us to win those games. And, we made enough plays tonight. And we were able to get a stop, with about 10 seconds left. And Kyler Coleman made a really good play in transition to pitch it ahead. And we were fortunate enough to make the game-winning layup with 2 or 3 seconds left.
Exciting finish for Jeremy Jordan's Grafton Clippers here in Williamsburg. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
So that was Jeremy Jordan, a winner on Monday night over the Lafayette Rams, as Grafton won a thrilling ball game there. They also prevailed 49-47 behind, 16 points, 11 rebounds from Kyler Coleman, 15 from Aaron Waddy, beating the Packers 49-47. It is Hatfield and Young at the PLEX. Before we take a break, and we'll get back to some more scores from Friday night. Ed, we've got Bob Socci coming up to talk about the Patriots hiring Jerod Mayo. Your thoughts on Jeremy Jordan's Grafton Clippers and the Bay Rivers? We've got him in our Class 3 Virginia Preps rankings, I think number 8. He's doing it without some bodies. He's finding a way, and his kids really buying into what he sells over there, and that old pack line UVA style of defense they play, methodical. They cut, they share the ball, they play unselfish and play good fundamental hoops.
Jeremy's a trip to listen to on his interviews. He's a walking clinic to listen to. The guy really puts into his craft. And he made a great comment with 4 minutes to go. If they're down 4 or 5, they really believe they can win it because they feel they can out execute the other team, most teams they play. And his kids do buy into that, and they do seem to turn it up in his style. And I listened to Jeremy, I just got to know, are you vanilla, which is white, or are you blue collar, which is blue? Because you confuse me when you say you're both. That's a good color combination, though. But it's hard to play a game in boots. You got to wear sneakers. But he's just a trip to listen to in his interviews. But the guy's very focused. He's extremely knowledgeable. He earns his wins. I got to get to one of his practices one of these days he really gets into it with his kids. I mean, we play them a lot in the off-season leagues. We've not matched up with him in a regular season game, but he just does a tremendous job. And I love his heart in coaching. And not too many guys I say that about, but his heart's truly in his coaching and what he does. And I like watching him play. You can pick some things up from him. And they're a factor. 9-1, losing to a very good undefeated Oscar Smith team, and he did play them well. They will be a factor in 4A. Region 4 playoff.
3A. They dropped from 4 to 3. Yeah,
That's
they dropped.
They're now in 3.
Which might be a harder region, Ed, because in 4A, outside of Hampton and Churchland, there's not a team above 500, I believe. And then in 3A, you've got Lake Taylor, you've got Hopewell, you got a lot of good teams. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens. And we're going to take a break here in a second. I want to say Jeremy Jordan's up to 253 wins and counting. Dwight Robinson of Lansdowne is now 6 away from 400. He could get it next week at the Virginia Preps Classic as well. But coming up next, after you hear from some of our sponsors on Cova Sports TV, we'll be joined by Bob Socci, who once upon a time people heard on the radio dial here in Hampton Roads. He called some Tides baseball. People know him as one of the best broadcasters in the business calling New England Patriots games. We'll talk about the hiring of Jerod Mayo, the Kecoughtan grad, taking over for Bill Belichick, who is done coaching the Pats, but is he done coaching football in general? We'll find out, get Bob's take on that and so much more. It is Hatfield and Young at the PLEX, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back in just a bit right here. Stay tuned.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
That's the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and on Cova Sports TV, streaming as well as on VirginiaPreps.com, 757 on Twitter, X, Sports Talk, that is 757 Sports Talk, Facebook. And we are now delighted to be joined by the play-by-play voice of the New England Patriots, Bob Socci, with us. Bob, long time no chat. How's life been treating you? It's pretty busy there in Foxborough territory, huh?
It's been a very interesting few days, to say the least, Matthew. Good to be with you again, and great to be talking to sports fans down in Hampton Roads again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. For you, you covered Jerod Mayo as a player and was an assistant coach, and now he's taken over for the legendary Bill Belichick. Give me the surprise meter, because it was rumored all year long about this would be the end of it, whether it was on his accord or the Patriots' accord of Bill Belichick leaving the Pats. The 1 being not surprised at all, 10 being shocked he's leaving the Pats, and then 1 to 10 on Jerod Mayo taking over for the Patriots as their head coach.
Well, I'll start with the latter part. For me, it really was a situation that was in the works, was certainly evident to me. Really, when Jerod came back to the Patriots out of the business world to get back into football as a coach several years ago, right away he was someone who was appealing to teams outside the Eagles. Every year, knowing personnel, his background with the Patriots, but also in the business world and the ability to climb the corporate ladder very quickly at a very young age and connect with people on different levels. He really is a guy that is described as a leader of men appropriately. I know that term gets used a lot, especially in sports. When he came back to the Patriots, I had a feeling, several years ago that, this is not a guy they want to see leave the organization. I mean, he really is a central casting type of coaching prospect for his former team. But obviously, Bill Belichick was entrenched and rightfully so as the second winningest coach in NFL history, chasing Don Shula's all-time record. But the last few years, the Patriots in the post-Brady era, had struggled, and Robert Kraft had made clear his desire, his intentions to get back to the playoffs, to win a playoff game. Made clear that the Patriots needed to draft better. Certainly made clear what he thought about the young quarterback Mac Jones, whom they took in the first round in 2021, and a series of decisions in 2022, which included coaching appointments on the offensive staff, kind of set Jones back, and then he performed very poorly this year after coaching changes when the Patriots kind of went back to their old way of playing offense with Bill O'Brien returning to New England. And then you look at the wins and the losses and the team's performance. And I think by mid-November, when the team returned from Germany, it certainly was trending this way, that there would be a parting at the end of the season. And again, I can't say I was too surprised that it was coming because of all the reporting surrounding it. But now that it's happened, that part of it is a great surprise. To think that Bill Belichick is not going to coach the New England Patriots, and I think it will really hit home when you see Bill Belichick on another sideline next September when the NFL season opens.
Before I let Ed jump in here with a couple of questions for you, Bob, one more for me on this front. The timing of it as far as quickly being done, we see two living legends in Nick Saban and Bill Belichick in the same news cycle, 24, 48 hours. People are stunned. Way more, I think, with Saban than it was Belichick. His retirement from coaching, it could be a logical fit for TV, maybe on the four-letter network there that does college football. But how quickly the Patriots and Alabama both moved. Patriots get Jerod Mayo. Alabama obviously got DeBoer from Washington. Were you surprised how quickly this got done for New England, where you have other teams out there, still waiting to hire coaches like the Commanders, like the Falcons, like the Las Vegas Raiders, potentially if Antonio Pierce doesn't get that job, the Chargers. Were you surprised how quickly Bob Kraft and everybody got it done there in New England to put Mayo at the helm?
Well, it's a bit of a cop-out. I would say no and yes. I think yes, that it happened like the day after he and Bill were together at Gillette Stadium, making their statements to the public, and trying to characterize the end of their relationship the way that they did. So I thought that maybe there would be some time in between that press conference and the press conference that we're going to have on Wednesday, and more time before we learned that Mayo was officially going to be the successor, particularly because I thought, with Mike Vrabel available, that might change the thinking down at Patriot Place, but it didn't whatsoever. And again, I just go back to when Jerod came back to the organization. And, it's important to note, too, that when he was a player, he was someone who Robert Kraft more or less took under his wing to talk about business and things outside of football. And Jerod is such a bright individual that he connected on an intellectual level, not only with the Krafts, but with people in their circles. And he had a lot of success at a very, very young age investing in startup companies. He's an angel investor. And then he climbed the corporate ladder, as I mentioned earlier, to become vice president of business development for Optum, a subsidiary of United Healthcare and a partner of the Patriots. And he did television. Fantastic on television. This is a guy that could be a network star. We've seen other Patriots go on to network sets, and Jerod Mayo has everything it would take to do the same. But I think that Robert Kraft identified him. Kraft talked about things being instinctual for him. And I go back to when he hired Belichick. They connected initially, Robert and Jonathan Kraft, with Bill when Bill was an assistant under Bill Parcells, because of Belichick's understanding of economics and value versus cost and the salary cap. And again, it was a different level that transcended the football field. And I think there was a similar kind of relationship with Jerod Mayo. So yes, I am kind of surprised that there wasn't more time, that maybe there wasn't at least a look and an interview or two with other candidates, including Vrabel at the top of that list. But I think it was Mayo all along. And it's obviously, now we've learned, it was written into his contract last year when he turned down a head coaching interview with Carolina. And the Patriots made an unprecedented move by announcing to the public that they were going to try to work out a deal with an assistant coach to retain him long term. The writing was on the wall with that statement, and now we see that the writing was in the contract.
Talking with Bob Socci, he's the play-by-play voice of the New England Patriots. Jerod Mayo, now the new head coach of the Pats, taking over for Bill Belichick. Jerod played his high school football at Kecoughtan High in Hampton at 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Hatfield and Young at the PLEX on Cova Sports TV. Ed?
Hey, Bob, great to hear from you. It's been a long time. The voice of the Tides back in the day. Great to hear from you. Great to see you. I too felt Belichick was out. I think all the writing was on the wall. Not just from public view, Patriot fan, but I think it was time. In the coaching world, it was time, even though it's older and you wonder, in your 70s, if you're going to keep coaching. I just think it was time. I think Bill took a lot of hits and losing Brady. A lot of people say, well, now we know why they won all the titles. It wasn't because of Belichick, which I thought was a stupid, asinine statement by most people. They were a great team. And when you have a Brady, you're going to do some things. He didn't have a Brady. The Mayo thing doesn't surprise me because it was interesting in your comments. When he came back, I thought I heard it somewhere say that more than likely he would be the next coach behind Belichick when Belichick decided to step away, because Belichick was never getting fired. It would be he was in a situation where even if they didn't want him, hey man, can you announce that you want to step aside? We don't want to fire you, and that it's time for you to go on. But it was in that because, as you said, they brought him back. And I thought it's logical. You have a great program with New England. You've got somebody, as you said, and you gave some great insight of Kraft. I didn't know all that tightness between Mayo and Kraft, that it would be next. I think maybe not saying it at the same conference was to give Bill his just dues and not hurry up and announce Mayo and everybody talking about, oh, Mayo's going to be the next coach. And a lot of questions go towards Mayo. I think we knew he was going to come in. I, too, like you, thought, Vrabel's out there. Wait a minute. But again, you answered that real quick by saying, well, it's in his contract that more than likely he's going to be the next Patriot coach. So, Jerod, you don't need to go to Carolina. You don't need to go anywhere else. And I think it's a logical, easy step. He's the next guy. He was a great player there. I'm tickled because he's a 7.57 guy. You know, it's like people are comparing it now to like a younger version of Mike Tomlin back in the day, out of nowhere from Denby, getting the Steeler job. And look what happened there. So it's going to be interesting to see what he'll do. I think he'll have a lot of respect. They're going to make changes. And probably number one, what are you doing at quarterback? Which is a lot of NFL teams got to decide, because we're finding out some of them rookies you thought were going to step in and shine are not shining. And we're finding out some backups. Who the heck are these guys? So I think right now the next question is, and maybe you can put some insight onto that, is what are they going to do at quarterback?
Yeah, Ed, all great points. And I love the comparison to Mike Tomlin because, I think he's a guy that, yes, he's from a defensive background. But to me, the thing about Mike Tomlin is a leader of men. I mean, he's a guy that, even this season, putting Mason Rudolph out there and getting into the playoffs once again with that Steelers team. He's a guy that doesn't have any losing seasons on his resume, and he's taken a lot of shots over the course of time, including this year when some in Pittsburgh thought maybe he was on his way out. But he's been able to navigate some tricky situations with some of the personalities he's had in that locker room. But his players play hard for him as a general rule. He gets that buy-in, and he's got that charismatic personality. And I think Jerod, brings a lot of those same qualities as well. You mentioned the quarterback situation. I think the first thing is general manager. And I think that also goes back to the Vrabel Mayo question. With Mayo, I think the business experience is a factor here, understanding like organizational psychology and having a lot of the qualities and the consistencies from his playing days. They used to call him Jerod Belichick, his peers on the team when he was playing, because he was like a coach on the field, and he was very much like Bill. And I think he brings a lot of the best qualities of the Patriots past, but he's also a bit of an out-of-box thinker. And he is someone that relates very, very well to people, has that ability to connect with everybody in the building. The testimonials from the defensive players over the course of the season, but especially the last few weeks in support of Mayo, they loved playing for. And I think on top of that, though, it's his willingness maybe to fit into a structure that's different than in the past, where Bill had the final personnel say, that Bill really had control of football operations. And I think now the organization is trying to move forward. The Patriots had a smaller coaching staff than just about anybody in the league. They weren't, at least to the extent. And again, that's where I think Mayo's business back to be more forward thinking when it comes to those things, but also fit into an organizational structure that the Crafts, want to put in place. So the general manager becomes the next logical choice. I think there's some good external candidates with some Patriot ties, but in-house they have a guy like Elliot Wolf, the son of Ron Wolf, the former Packers general manager, who's probably the leading candidate among those internal personnel people. And then when you talk about the quarterback situation, they're at that crossroads. And part of the reason why the change happened this year was the regression of Mac Jones. And ultimately, what we saw this year wasn't just a step back, but he I hate to use this term, but I think in the words of many who watched him play and covered him, he looked broken psychologically and physically. His mechanics went awry. He was making bad decisions. The things that he was known for doing out of Alabama and as a Patriot, his best assets, those things disappeared and he was making mistakes, turning the ball over, making poor decisions. And, his mechanics were really out of whack. And, they had a decision to salvage his career here. I think for reasons, maybe it's best for him and as well the organization to move on. They've got a top 3 draft pick. It's a situation they have not been in a long, long time. Of course, you go back to Drew Bledsoe, on with Bill Parcells. So they may have that opportunity, depending on which quarterbacks go 1 and 2, if they go 1 and 2, to take their guy, or maybe they go for a surer thing if Marvin Harrison Jr. is available, and then try to get the quarterback thereafter. But I think that quarterback is definitely in the equation upcoming, and it's a big. And I think that's why this process got sped up as it did, with Bill leaving at the end of this year as opposed to at the end of next year when his contract was up.
Yeah, Bob, you mentioned it, staff. Obviously, you're going to have to really look at your staff. You made a great point when you said on the offensive side, bringing in different coaches, and it kind of screwed up Jones's learning curve in terms of what he's doing, which NFL might be the only sport you really have that kind of worry with, so precise with quarterbacking. I'm guessing, does New England really kind of like redo the whole staff? Obviously, Mayo's got to have his people, so to speak. I even heard by one of the national pundits making a comment about, does Josh McDaniels come back again? Because McDaniels seems to be a great offensive coordinator and struggles as a head coach, as he kind of lost the locker room with my Raider team. I'm a big Raider fan, and that didn't work. And we saw what happened in Denver. That didn't work. And he knows Mayo, and they've worked together before. So does that come in? They draft a quarterback, which means it's going to take you a bit. You're not going to draft a rookie quarterback and go right to the Super Bowl. I think one team has never done that. So it's going to take a while again. So you got to make that decision. So 2 questions. Obviously, what do you think about staff setup? And then obviously they're not giving Mayo all that Belichick had, which is a dying breed, where you're in charge of football operations. You're the GM. I guess Dallas will be the last one, where Jerry Jones is owner, judge, jury, and executioner, I guess, with Dallas. Because that's the other rumor, is if Belichick gets hired by somebody, whether it be Washington's, the Chargers, he's probably only going to get hired as a coach only. But again, let me narrow back down. Staff, what do you think about staff situation of what they're going to do? And obviously Mayo's going to be strictly and only head coach.
Yeah, 2 great questions. I think Mayo is going to be the head coach, and that's it. I don't think he's going to have – he's going to have input. I think it has to be a collaborative effort these days. That seems to me to be the working model generally around the NFL. I think in the old days where the GM picks the players and the coach, accepts the roster as it is, that's, I think, in an antiquated mode of doing things in this day and age. But it does exist, I guess, in some places. But I think in general, it has to be a collaborative effort. But in this case, here in New England, for the last, however many years, really since the Patriots went to their 3rd Super Bowl and beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 39, it's been Bill, who's overseeing that personnel department. Now, they did try 2021, but I think in Mayo's it's complicated. And you mentioned Josh, and he was, interestingly, he was here on Thursday in the building after attending the game last Sunday in Bill's final contest as the Patriots head coach. There's obviously a tight relationship between them, but there's also a strong relationship between Josh and the Crafts. And there's a number of coaches on that staff that owe their careers to Bill Belichick, and McDaniels is certainly one of them. But I don't know that he wants to go where Bill goes. So maybe with his home still here in the Boston area, Foxborough area, and he kept that home and his family is here, even after taking the Raiders job, maybe, there's a personal attachment for him to stay local if the Crafts and Mayo, want Josh McDaniels to stay on, but you have Bill O'Brien, who was brought back last year, and he's got a similar situation as Josh McDaniels in that regard. I have to think that the offensive staff is going to change considerably, though, whether it is still Bill O'Brien or if it's Josh McDaniels or somebody else. I think Mayo may want input into what kind of offense they run that leads them to make a wholesale change altogether. I don't know that. From a defensive standpoint, I think some of the coaches that are on the staff will be in place. I think DeMarcus Covington, shoots to the top of the list of potential defensive coordinators under Jerod Mayo. I think that, he's a guy that's been an up-and-coming young coach. He's done very well on the defensive line, which was the strength of the Patriots team last year. So I think that's a guy who's in a lot of ways very similar to Jerod when you think about a young, charismatic coach who really has that ability to connect with his players and motivate them. And I think they'll work well together if that's the case. But there are definitely going to be changes on the coaching staff. The problem, I think, when you look at Bill's tenure for the Patriots in recent years is that he had developed this great farm system of coaches and a pipeline of young people that came into the organization like McDaniels and Matt Patricia before him, even Nick Caserio, now the GM in Houston. And there's a long list of those guys. And they came into the Patriots organization and they started on the ground floor. They were personnel assistants, and then they were coaching assistants, and they did all the grunt work. And then they became, on the field coaching assistants. And then they eventually climbed the ladder. Over the course of time, he's developed so many of those young minds for coaching and player personnel that have gone on to other organizations. And maybe they haven't all succeeded, but nonetheless, that's depleted that supply. Now, in more recent years, there's been a bit of a brain drain, and I think that, has had some effects on the performance of the team since their last Super Bowl win in 2018, the 2018 season.
In our last couple minutes with Bob Socci, he is the play-by-play voice of the New England Patriots at 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and wherever you are watching, whether it be Twitter, X, VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, or all over the web. You can also check out Bob's work, some of his columns on Bob's View and Notebook on 985thesportshub.com. That's 985thesportshub.com. And give Bob a follow on Twitter or X at Bob Socci as well. Bob, we'll get you out on this, and we appreciate you coming on the program. Two questions for you. What's next for Bill Belichick? Where might he be landing? I would think you probably envision him coaching again somewhere in the NFL, whether that would be Falcons, Commanders, Chargers, none of the above, fill in the blank, because he is closing in on Don Shula's record. And then B, I don't know if you want to make a prediction perhaps on who's representing the NFC and AFC in the Super Bowl, but we do have 7 tantalizing games this weekend with Browns, Texans, Dolphins, Chiefs, where it is very, very frigid, as you know, about cold temperatures. Steelers, Bills as well. Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Lions, and the Monday night game with the Eagles and the Buccaneers. Just maybe some idle thoughts on the games and which game might be the best of the bunch.
Hey, Matthew. Yeah, for sure. I think Atlanta is certainly a team that's been mentioned by a lot of people, and that was one of my first thoughts from this standpoint. It's a team that has some talent. Now, yes, they're lacking a quarterback, but they're in a division that you can go in there, and if you get pedestrian quarterback play with some of the pieces they have offensively, and I think there's some individual talent defensively too, that Bill can morph that kind of squad into a division championship contender almost immediately, particularly if they go out and spend on a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. Let's say he becomes available. That's a scenario that's been mentioned by a lot of people, and one that I could foresee. I think as well, you have an owner in Arthur Blank who's up there in years. He saw Bill Belichick lead the Patriots past his Falcons when Atlanta was up 28-3. He's missing that championship. He's an owner that has deep pockets and would be willing to spend, and I think also would be willing to cede control of football operations to Bill. I have a tough time seeing Bill Belichick coaching, but not coaching the kind of players and the players that he wants to coach, players that he picks, and not coach. And that's, from game to game, changing what you do from 4-3 to 34 defensively one week, and having a game plan specific style on both offense and defense. And, that involves a lot of versatility in the players that you coach. So I've got to think that wherever Bill's going next, I know some people think if McCarthy's out at Dallas, that might be a logical choice for Belichick. Certainly Jerry Jones, would write a big check. But I think Atlanta at this point offers the best opportunity for Bill to go someplace and, win and still have the things that he's accustomed to having under his control. Who knows what else happens after this wild card weekend. It's strange to think about Philadelphia, some people have mentioned, or Buffalo. I think those coaches are probably safe regardless of the turnout this weekend. And as far as your question about the leading contenders for the Super Bowl, obviously Baltimore doesn't look right, but if they figure things out offensively, I think that's a team to be reckoned with. I do, and I think that they could figure it out enough with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes to make a 3-game run rather, to do what they need to do to get there. And I think as well, you look at Buffalo, the way things have been going for them to the end of the season. I think maybe the adversity that they faced this year was probably a good thing for them. I don't think they're as good as they've been in recent seasons, but this might be their year. And then on the NFC, I still think San Francisco, despite what happened to them late in the season with that loss to Baltimore, I think they're the team that will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl as well.
All right, good deal. We'll get you on this best game this weekend. You got one of the 7 you like over the bunch there with Browns, Texans, with Lions, Rams, with Cowboys, Packers, with Steelers, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, Eagles, Bucks. Which one do you think is going to be the best of the bunch, or most interesting to you, I guess?
Well, I think the most interesting for me is the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Though I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch it because it's being streamed on Peacock. I think we have that, but I'm not sure. It's hard to keep track of all the apps that we have. But I think that, that one fascinates me from the standpoint that Miami, for so much of this season, was a team that, was putting up these astronomical numbers offensively. And Mike McDaniel was the hot young coach, and leading with good reason. And, people were talking about the Dolphins and keeping up with them. And now they got to go to Kansas City and play in conditions that, aren't meant for Antarctica, let alone for an NFL playoff game. So that one fascinates me just from that standpoint alone, and especially as Miami's beat up defense. But I think the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game, too, just because I want to see, Kansas City and Buffalo are in. And those are the teams I think that, we expected at the beginning of the season to be there in the end in the AFC, but they've had a lot of speed bumps and hiccups along the way. So this weekend, are they going to be able to figure it out and turn themselves in the playoffs in the right direction to go through the divisional round and then the AFC Championship to get to the Super Bowl? So those are the 2 games that stand out to me. I'm also fascinated by Lions, Rams, just because of I think the Lions are a fun team to watch. And I've been kind of taken by the Dan Campbell success there. And you got Matthew Stafford obviously going back to Detroit. I'd love to see the Lions win just for the fans of Detroit. And same with Cleveland and what they've gone through the years.
Yeah, there's some super storylines with Mike McCarthy against his former team, Stafford and Goff against their former teams, the Rams and Lions, like you mentioned. A couple of William & Mary guys with Mike Tomlin and Sean McDermott with the Steelers Bills there. Tyreek Hill against his former team with the Chiefs there. We could see Joe Flacco of the Browns advance possibly play his former team with the Ravens, and it should be compelling as we get closer to the Super Bowl coming up. And we do know
Bobby Slowick, right? Is he another William & Mary guy?
Yeah, Bobby Slowick. You're right. Yeah. It's just tons of connections. We all like to bring it back to the 757 here in VA, where once upon a time you heard Bob Socci call Norfolk Tides games, and we've got a guy from the 757 coming to coach the New England Patriots, Jerod Mayo, Kecoughtan High alum from Hampton, and so many people excited for that. It remains to be seen where Bill Belichick will end up as the coach. Bob, it's been great catching up with you. All the best. Enjoy this off season, which is not like the typical ones there for the Patriots. They hope to get back to the postseason sooner than later, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon. Thanks so much today,
Matthew. Thanks for having me, Ed. Good to see you and talk with you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bob.
And as the one and only Bob Socci, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. We'll take a time out here from some of our sponsors at the PLEX that make it possible. We got Buy or Sell coming your way. We've got Stefan Welsh, reigning head coach of the reigning Class 5 State Champion Woodside Wolverines. Vinny's here too, and we've got Super Wild Card Weekend NFL picks with yours truly, the Vinny lookalike Ed Young, and the one and only Bruce Pearl. Right now, though, let's hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible at the PLEX.
Revitalize your property today. Shine Time is your turnkey solution for all power washing and painting projects. With years of experience in both residential and large-scale commercial settings, their focus is to bring new life to your home, building, or outdoor space and ensure 100% customer satisfaction every time. Shine Time Power Wash.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
That's the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the PLEX, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are 2 guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
What Stefan Welsh had to say after that big win against Hampton when he answered some of your questions.
All right, here with Woodside head basketball coach Stefan Welsh. His Wolverines went on a throw of 67-59 over the Hampton Crabbers to move to 12-0 on the season. Coach, this was a dogfight, a little bit different type of ball game than your season opener, but I imagine you expected that coming in.
Absolutely. I told them before the game, this is our first championship game of the year. I knew Hampton was going to come out and really play their tails off. And he one of the best coaches I've ever coached against. He always has his guys ready to play. They're always well prepared. And I think tonight they did a good job of keeping us out of transition and also slowing their offense down, and a lot of times making 8, 9, 10 passes. And I think that's what got it back in the game in the second half. I thought we got undisciplined. We start trying to make plays and make it about ourselves instead of staying assignment sound. So my hats off to Hampton. They did an unbelievable job. He a hell of a coach. We always have battles no matter who's supposed to have a better team. It's going to be a dogfight every time.
How fitting is it, Michael Jenkins? I don't know what the situation was. He didn't play basically for the first 2-3 quarters, and he gets 2 alley-oops for you in the overtime. He ends up being kind of the hero down the stretch to salt this one away.
Well, he hasn't been playing. He been sick.
Okay.
So he hasn't been practicing, and obviously we knew the magnitude of this game, and he wanted to give it a go. I'm always going to trust my seniors in these moments. They've been through it. They've been there before. They know exactly what it takes, and I thought that for that last 4 minutes that Kell got in the game, it was a turning point.
Yeah, it really was. And it was a good battle inside with their bigs, your 2 big guys with Silas Barksdale and Jordan Houston. But I thought early in the game, the guy that set the tone, he also came alive down the stretch a little bit, was Messiah Wells Stevens, kind of taking that ownership that we had with Trevor Smith as your playmaking guard. Have you seen that for some glimpses, now just doing it for a full game in a lot of ways? Or?
Absolutely. You know what? And I keep telling people this, Messiah might be for sure one of the most talented guards to ever play here. Just as far as his own ball creativity. He made the game easy for his teammates. He live in the paint. He always getting our shooters, wide open shots after the defense collapsed. Mm-hmm. He do a good job of getting solid, easy baskets, man. He's the definition of point guard. And, he just got to keep building and keep getting better. But, one thing about Messiah Wells Stevens and why he been starting for me since his sophomore year is that, every big game, 10 gonna show up.
Sure. 2 more for let you run. I believe this is your first tight ball game, coach, single digits, overtime.
Yeah.
Did you guys need a type of game like this because it helps you for playoff time and what you might see in those situations?
Absolutely. I tell the guys all the time, I can't wait till they either get beat or somebody take us down the wire and it's a one possession game. You need those games. You need that adversity. You need to fall down so you can learn how to get up. And to this point this season, we haven't fell down a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my concerns with this group. But at the same time, we got so much experience that they know exactly what it takes for us to be able to get back to where we want to get at the end of the year.
And lastly, the goal is to do what you do as a player, go back-to-back, win state championships for the 2nd straight year in Class 5. To have this type of growing game with, I think you played 4 freshmen tonight, what's that do for them as they go on this journey?
You know what? When it comes to my freshmen, that whole first year for them is always just a continual grind. Putting them in uncomfortable situations so that when they get back in and the situation is not uncomfortable anymore. My biggest thing with that group while we got all these seniors is just being able to maximize, their knowledge with the older guys, and the older guys are able to walk them and take them through the steps that need to be taken for us to be successful here. So, unbelievable group of freshmen. They've been playing big for us. Sorry, I remember Deuce hit a big 3 for us. Callie got a big assist down the stretch to Silas for a dunk. So, the freshmen just keep coming. They just keep coming. And, I'm not going to mince my words when I say that I think they're the best freshman class in school history.
Well, an exciting ball game in the house that Stefan Welsh helped build. Thank you so much. All the best.
Appreciate you, man.
Oh, there's Ed Young, and now I'm back on the screen. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. You just got a quick glimpse, little technical glitch of one of our buy or sell questions. We got that coming up in just a bit, though. We do want to flash up there. I
wasn't concerned about that. I thought it looked like you fell off your seat and popped back up. I didn't see no question on the screen. In that house that you break into every Saturday, I thought maybe you slipped off the upholstered sofa there or whatever. I didn't know what happened to you.
Yeah, well, Stefan Welsh won back-to-back state titles as a player in 2004-05 alongside the likes of Willie Bell, Sam Matupum, Leroy Foster, and Calvin Baker, who's now an assistant at James Madison. And by the way, Ed ran into that team, those guys, his junior year when he was at Green Run with B.J. Jenkins and Latay Darden, had a battle with them, was in the game late third, early fourth quarter, and then it got away late, but had a chance there in that ball game. That team was coached, by the way, by John Richardson, who, by the way, made news this week. I don't know if you saw it. John Richardson is now the interim head coach at his alma mater, Elizabeth City State, as Andre Gray was removed, shockingly, I think, to some, as the head coach. And John Richardson, who was not even on the staff, got named interim head coach at ECSU, Division II program, CIAA. But anyhow, Welsh played for him, now trying to get back-to-back state titles as a player. I sent you some numbers from this game to munch on, Ed, from the overtime thriller. Hampton had a chance late. Anything jump out at you statistically? Their big man, Silas Barksdale, didn't have a huge scoring output, but had 15 rebounds in the game. They shot 50% from the field. It was a little bit sloppy at times, 39 turnovers, 18 for Woodside, 21 for the Crabbers. But like you said, two teams that expect to be playing come March state tournament time. Messiah Wells Stevens was a monster with 22 points. Hampton's two big guns as far as 22 points per game between them. Gavin Kay and Abraham Taft did not have a field goal, I think, until the third quarter. Kay was scoreless, did have 10 rebounds. He had the game winner against Patriot. In the case of Taft, I think he scored all 10 of his points late third into the overtime. But anything jump out at you statistically, as this was a lot closer than the first meeting that Woodside won by about 13 in Hampton's gym to start off the season in late November?
Well, when I'm looking at the team stats, I see Woodside gets 16 offensive rebounds, 37 total, compared to Hampton's 37 rebounds. Not sure how many offense in it. When you're getting second chance on the offensive glass, you're probably going to win most of your games. When you out-rebound opponents, of course, each team had 37, you're going to win most of your games. That statistic hit me first. They are a tremendous offensive rebounding team. They're very active on the glass. They're one of the teams that does a great job on follow-up shots, which for some reason, a lot of teams, kids shoot the ball, then all of a sudden they become a spectator to watch their shot instead of going in and getting a rebound. I had a coach once tell me years ago, the best person on the floor to get an offensive rebound is a shooter, because you're going to know where your shot is going, and you should be at the glass to retrieve it. Turnovers surprised me. Woodside 18, Hampton 21. That's a lot of turnovers, but they kind of offset each other. Turnovers aren't as big a problem if you don't allow the other team to turn your turnovers into points. Then it's a problem, because the goal of every offensive set is to get a good shot. You want to score every time down, but nobody in the history of the game that I know of at any level shot 100% in a game. So, but you do want to get good opportunities every time, rebound your missed stuff, and then you've got a great chance of winning. But now again, Woodside's a running team. They will have turnovers. Any team that gets up and down a lot, or as much as they do, they will have turnovers, and you can't sweat it. Years ago, not to bring my situation in, when I had my Suffolk High team averaged 100 points a game, we averaged about 17 turnovers, 18 turnovers a game, which I went living on. But again, we had multiple possessions in a game, sometimes as many as 80 possessions. You're going to turn the ball over as long as your opponents don't score. And when we scored 100 a game, defensively we gave up 65. That was a 35-point difference. So those turnovers didn't hurt us. So Woodside does that, but Woodside can score from every position. And when I hear him talk about 4 freshmen that are involved in their winning, that's a scary thought, because that means that machine keeps on going. Those kids, by the time they become juniors, seniors, well entrenched in tough ball games when you play a Hampton Peninsula District type schedule, those kids will be battle tested. Those kids will not be shook when things get a little crazy. And as for Hampton, he's got a little bit of a younger team. Some of his better kids are underclassmen, and they're going to be in that battle. And when you play for Eric Brown, you have no choice but to play hard 100% of the time you're in there, or you never see the floor. So those type of games are cool to watch. And those teams both, as I said, will be deep in their playoff runs.
And we now put up our question of the day. Will Woodside's basketball team complete the 2023-2024 campaign undefeated? That means no losses, wire to wire. You're in that same region, Ed, where the last 2 seasons, 20-1 Kecoughtan, riding I think a 19 or 20 game winning streak, got beat in the semifinals by Woodside. 22-0 Menchfield, Lamont Struthers' Monarchs. Maybe it was the Jinx when he came on with us on radio and he lost. I'm blaming you, not me. With A.J. Clark, VMI now, Etienne Struthers, his son who's at Appalachian State. They run into Woodside, who they'd beaten twice before, got beat at the Norfolk Scope in the regional semifinals. And I've heard, by the way, that you're playoffs might not be at Scope. They might be at Norfolk State. So someone told me. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe you know better than me.
No, I've kept up with nothing about the region. I don't know who's placed in where. And I know Woodside's number
Bad
one.
job by you.
Yeah, I when you're blowing 15-point leads, I got a lot of other worries than worried about where the regionals will be, because if we don't win our games, we can forget about regionals.
Anyhow, so our question of the day, will Woodside finish unbeaten? Here's the remaining schedule. They're now 12-0 is what I'm showing. Maybe 11-0. I think it's 12-0, though. Phoebus, Bethel, Heritage of Newport News, Denby, Menchville, Peninsula Catholic on the road February 3rd. Could be a trap game. Warwick, Kecoughtan, Archbishop Carroll on February 10th, a makeup game, and then they finish up at home against Gloucester, which will not be the game that I think snaps their chances to go undefeated. What's your feeling there, sir? What's your vibe? Will the Woodside Wolverines? We want to know from you out there. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment to us. We'll put you on the screen. We'll pop you on the screen. Will the Woodside Wolverines go unbeaten? Now, that's coming regular season. It's coming through the playoffs. I generally tend to think, Ed, it might be better served if you have a loss, because that pressure starts to weigh on kids, especially a team that doesn't have 4 freshmen. They have some good players that are upperclassmen, like your Jenkinses, who had those 2 alley-oops, Mike Barksdale and Messiah Will Stevens. But what do you think there, sir? Will they go unbeaten?
Regular season, the only team I see with the possibility of beating is Archbishop Carroll.
Okay.
I think they're going to beat most of those teams at least by 20. Now you get into regionals. Look what happened last year. But they are a very good team last year. In fact, they were the state champions, not when they beat Menchville, but eventually went on to be state champions. So now they get more hunted than doing the hunting. And it could be regional where they may stub a toe. And you don't want to do that. The only time you want to lose in a regional, if you're going to lose in a regional, is in a regional championship, because you're still in the state tournament. So they'll have to do everything possible to not have what they did to Menchville happen to them. And really, let's say a Menchville would play them. I don't really, possibly Maury or Norview.
Or Kings Fork.
Say it again.
Or Kings Fork.
Yeah, Kings Fork is a physical team. They'll come at them as physical as anybody there is. I'm going to say, I don't think they lose regular season unless Archbishop Carroll picks them apart. I think they'll handle their business. Is interested in Steph's interview. He said, sometimes I wish we get an L or get some really close losses with the idea that regain their attention, which is something I've said in the past too. It's a crazy statement made by coaches, almost saying we hope we lose, but what they mean is we need a loss right now to bring us back to the earth. And I'd rather get one now than in the opening or second round of regionals, because you're out. Your season's over. So if you're going to lose late, regional championship is the only one you can do that. So I think they have like I said, I think they have a great shot of going that undefeated at least until the regionals. But I got a feeling, I said it when we started the interview, they're gonna win a state title.
Okay, that's what Ed's proclamation, declaration, all that above he says there. When it comes to the Woodside Wolverines, it is time for us. Well, you know what? Before we take a timeout, it is time for us to talk about the VirginiaPreps.com Basketball Classic, which is next week. Ed, there's the matchups on the screen. There they are. Oh, beautiful, those. You got
great matchups. The promoter did another tremendous job.
Thank you.
Hats off.
By the way, we're efforting if you're available and free. And by the way, I don't know if people know, we haven't talked about this on the show. Well, we'll do this after we talk about the Classic, because there's something the following day that Ed Young may accompany me to. I have to tell the audience about this, because this is a pretty cool thing. Haven't discussed it yet on the air. We've talked about it. We've talked about it off air a little bit. But anyhow, the 15th annual Classic. We got Session 1 and Session 2. All the tickets had to be purchased through GoFan, by the way. And the link is on GoFan. 7 games for $10. Great deal, people. You're paying less than $2 a game. You can see some great hoops all day long. Franklin versus Kellum. Franklin's got one of the best big men in the state, and Siobhan Torrance taking on at Kellum, who we mentioned is quietly rolling along in Region 5A. Lancaster, defending Class 1 state champs with Troy Henderson. He's popping 25, 30 points a game, taking on Peninsula Catholic. Got a lot of talent. Does Trevor Dorsey's Knights there. led by E.J. Joyner, who is Buck Joyner's son, Hampton University coach. They're starting to hit their stride for a slow start. Kecoughtan and West Springfield, Dwayne Campbell's first year at the helm for the Warriors against Terry Henderson Spartans, who, by the way, they're coming down. Terry used to coach at Thomas Edison in Northern Virginia, came to the class a couple times before, and he coached Drew Lakey, who's an assistant at ODU. So we're going to go see the ODU men later that night. So a nice little double dip for them. 3:30, Cape Henry versus Gainesville. Mark Hall's Dolphins, led by Sebastian Whitfield, taking on the Gainesville Cardinals under Justin Powers, who have had a pretty nice season thus far. Catholic, private school at Virginia Beach, got a big-time player in Ashton Walker. Watch out for him. He's among the area's best, looking like an all-Tidewater, all-state-level guy. They'll be in action against Forest Park, who beat Potomac this week, Ed. That's a pretty big win to beat Potomac. Forest Park played Kings Fork close. That could be a doozy of a ball game. How about 6:30? Oscar Smith, still undefeated, playing Tunstall, who's still unbeaten. Undefeated versus undefeated. Tunstall's bringing a fan bus down. You know where Tunstall's located, by the way?
I thought somewhere in Northern Virginia, but it's probably out west.
It's out west. Tri Fork, Virginia. You ever been to Tri Fork?
No, I've used a fork when I eat, but I've never been to Tri Fork.
A Dry Fork, too. You have been. Okay. It's out there near Danville country.
Oh, that's a trip.
Yeah. They've been honest about playing, and Kenny Harris knows his man, DeMarcus Morrison, former GW Eagle from yesteryear. And Kempsville versus Monacan, Darren Sandler's Chiefs against RJ Spellsburg's Chiefs. That should be a fun one to end the night. 7 games. Come on out. Should be some excellent hoops. And we are efforting. We're going to do a test run this week. If you're available and interested, we might have you call a few of these games on the stream with our man Jack Lowe. How about that? Do some color commentating. You down for that?
Money's right. I'll do anything.
Money's right. I'll listen to you. Listen to you. What a shyster you are. We'll give you. How about we give you a ticket to the hospitality room?
No, you're gonna have to contact my agent. It's a new day and age, man. It's all about money. So, my agent will let me know. You talk to my people, and then we'll talk to your people. We'll see
what greedy dude you are. NIL money. He wants a shoe deal. He wants a suit deal. He wants a blue suit deal.
No, I got a blue suit. It's strictly money. I'm all about.
What's your favorite matchup? And that's, by the way, that's day 1. Let's show you day 2. There's day 2, January 27th at Green Run. Triple header of Kings Fork West Potomac, Green Run Varina, and Lancetown Maury. You got a favorite matchup for day 1 and day 2? How about day 1? What's your favorite matchup?
Looking at those, obviously the battle of the unbeatens at 2 different levels, a 6A, 3A.
Will they still be unbeaten, by the way, because Oscar Smith plays Hampton today in the MABC showcase. That's a 1:00 tip going on out there. We'll put that little matchup here, the matchup stretch coming across ticker in just a moment against the Hampton Crabbers. That's a big matchup at Shores today, 1:00. That feels like a nightcap level game at 1:00, by the way. I'm not sure why it was scheduled for that time.
There must have been something going on because that's a prime time game.
So will they still be unbeaten is the first question.
That's going to be true too, and of course Tunstall they probably play a game or 2 this week before.
I think they'll get there undefeated. We'll get their schedule.
That one would be the most interesting matchup to see what they have. I'm looking at Catholic Forest Park. Could be more intriguing than people think. Lancaster people is a tremendous 1A team to see. And Peninsula Cap's got a lot of athletes for you early people that want to come out. And really, it's hard. Oscar Smith Tunstall is the game I would pick on this night. But when I start looking at each game, of course, what goes to my mind real quick is the coaches. Obviously, to see the coaching matchup. Even that first game, Robert Cudgens against our man Norm over there at Kellum, Norm Massell. It's sometimes that's worth it too. And then in the evening prime time, you got Kempsville and Monica could be another war. But my money goes towards Smith and Tunstall as the one I would want to see.
By the way, Norm Hassel's Knights still have the record for most points scored in a Virginia Preps Classic game. You do know that, right?
92 against yours truly.
Was it 92? I didn't realize it was not. You remember the exact amount. See, that didn't sit well with you. How about today? Go ahead.
At Lake Taylor. Didn't he run the tournament at Lake Taylor?
It was at Lake Taylor year 2. You're correct. It was the second year at Lake Taylor. You're right.
Ran it up on us, and
I'll never forget. Mike Whittington always tells me what drove him nuts about was you substituting every 5 seconds in that game. He ran out. I think he ran out of lines on his stat sheet for all the substitutions you were making.
Yeah, Mike learned at that time. He learned me at that time that we did that, and I've never forgiven Norm, and we are no longer friends because he ran it up on us. And
no longer friends.
I don't really want to say it out loud in public, but I hate Norm with a passion.
Wow. And how about the other matchup? Other day, what's your favorite matchup that day?
Well, you got Kings Fork in there, team in our not only in our district but our city. I was interested in who they're playing. That ball game catches my eyes too. These are three really decent matchups in a variety of reasons. Varina, a ton of athletes against Green Run. Wow. I look at Lansdowne Maury. Lansdowne Maury would be, I think, the highlight game. Ooh, okay. You did a great job putting them three in a row. All three of them are 8 o'clock. All three of them are 8 o'clockers. So will we get here's a well, maybe it'll be our question of the day next week. Will we get an overtime game in the Virginia Preps Classic this year? I think that's the stats for the odds for that every year is yes, because you got great matchups where you got. We'll have some history book. Well, hold on, we'll have some history books up for you next week to dissect. We'll have to probably record the show because you know me, I'll be running around like crazy man. So I don't know if we'll be live. We might have to tape the show for next week. We'll figure that out as we get closer to it. And it might be a condensed show for folks, maybe a little preview show. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see if there's an overtime or buzzer beater. Because I remember one year you were there at J.R. Tucker we had in Richmond where Albemarle beat Varina on an Austin Katstra buzzer beater. Remember that? Yeah, that on the play at UVA. Yep, I remember that one up there. I think we played. Did we play Tucker? You played J.R. Tucker, and you won in overtime. Yeah, I didn't know it was overtime. I think it was overtime. Now you got me looking it up here. Yeah, better look that up. I don't remember overtime, but I do remember playing the host school on their floor, and that was at Tucker because you have moved around a little bit here and there. We have to get to the Virginia Prep historian. Is that Lynn Burke, the historian, to go find out? I don't know that Lynn's watching right now. He might. The wife has him doing some honeydew things, I think, at the moment. Maybe he'll watch this in replay. But we will pull up the program as I try to find it right now. All-time classic scores. Here we go. As I'm looking through it, I think it was an overtime game. As I pull up by the way, someone asked me this week at one of the games. I think I was at. Hey, do you have we will have a booklet online. Probably have some available for purchase as well, where it has the list of the history of the event, the games, the scores, the MVPs, all that good stuff. Yeah, 2016, you beat J.R. Tucker 62-51 in overtime before the Albemarle 54-53 triumph over Varina. So going into last year, the history overtimes were, starting in 2009, none. 2010, none. 2011, no. 2012, you had overtime with Lansdowne outlasting Middleburg with Mo Ali Cox, by the way, of the Indianapolis Colts, former VCU standout. So that's one. None in 13. 14, you had Cape Henry outlasting John Marshall by 3. That was an Aaron Hutton 3 to force OT late, if I recall correctly. 2016, Nansman over J.R. Tucker. 2017, Norcom beat Potomac in OT at Green Run. 2018, Loudoun Valley outlasted Phoebus 71-68 behind Jordan Miller, now with the LA Clippers. That's 5. He played at Miami last year, helped Jim Larinaca's Canes get to the Final Four. So that's 5, and I think it's only 5. There wasn't any in 2020 or 2022, and I don't think we had any last year. How about that? In 14 years, just 5 overtime. 25. Wow. I would have guessed maybe 10. I would have doubled that. So
I would have thought so too.
So we don't even have on the average 1 per year. But I think we're due. I think you're due for an overtime.
I think we're due. All right. Coming up next on the show, after we take a timeout, Ed and I will be playing Buy or Sell. Do you have some coins in your pockets?
No, I got to go get my credit card. Or my man can maybe use his money.
Vinny knows people.
Vinny has a way of extracting money from people. He hasn't really told me how, but I've heard him on the phone with a lot of people. You got my money.
I saw him last night. I was watching Casino. I saw Vinny in that movie.
Yeah, I hear him a lot of times say to people, you got my money, man. You got my money. So a lot of people, I think, owe him money or something. I'm not sure.
I thought that was Stewie. That was Vinny, not Stewie.
Yeah, and he's got good friends because I hear a lot of times he said, I'm going to send some people over to get my money. So he's got people that will pick up his money for him. So
Okay.
I can use Vinny.
All right, we're going to take a time out here from some of the sponsors that make it all possible for all of us out there, including one of Ed's favorites. You know who we're talking about. We are talking about Zoop Eatery. You get some soup when you go to Zoop. Good time of year to do it. They'll be up in just a bit, but stay tuned. We're coming back with more Hatfield and Young on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
All right, we are back with Hatfield and Young at the PLEX 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will keep you posted on everything happening in the sports world, be it local, statewide, or beyond. Some neat things coming up. We might have some special surprises for you, surprise guesses. By the way, surprise guesses, I should say, guests and guesses. For those that might have missed it last week, we were efforting Chuck Culpepper to Washington Post. And we had a miscommunication. I'll take the 90% of the blame on that. We did get him on a special Monday edition of the podcast before the national championship game. Did you have any takeaways? And I don't know if you caught Chuck's interview that we had up. Folks can go back and watch it before the title game with Michigan and Washington, the Huskies. I'll be honest with you, Ed. It was a letdown. Not that Michigan won, but the tenor and flow of the game, it was not as exciting and competitive as the semifinal games where Michigan outlasted Alabama in overtime and the Huskies had to hold off a Texas charge at the end. I just thought it was like a C minus type of game to me. It was not thrilling. It was not exhilarating. It was sort of ho-hum to me. Did you feel the same way?
I thought the semis were more exciting, more catch your attention. I watched most of the championship, not all of it, but I had that same feeling that this wasn't what we were hoping or expected. It was kind of like the letdown. Obviously, though, Michigan completes a dream season and goes undefeated through all the stuff that they had to go through with the cheating scandal or whatever, the sign stealing, whatever it was. And now we sit and wait for Harbaugh, supposedly, as everybody thinks, he's gone. I'm not 100% sure he's gone, but everybody feels that way. And Washington completes a great year, unfortunately with a loss, but here they are 14-0 in the championship game. DeBoer in his second year, but now within the last 24, 48 hours, he's gone. and in a series of events that nobody really thought would happen. Saban retiring, which caught me by surprise. I thought 2-3 more years. And then the quick hiring of DeBoer to Alabama, where a lot of people thought the guy from Oregon was going to go. And they hired him quick at Alabama, which really surprised me. It's kind of like, well, he's done great, but he was only watching a couple of years. Now, his whole career, Kalen DeBoer has done fantastic every step of the way. But Alabama's a whole different animal. And when it comes to college coaching, maybe right at the very top of the food chain, very different. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to be the guy that replaces Saban. Or people said, oh, you got to get an Alabama guy to replace Saban. The people will be easier on him. You bring in a complete outsider, and they're down at halftime in the first game, they'll want his head. And DeBoer's going to have to go through that, and he knew that. The thing I didn't like about the hiring with DeBoer to Alabama, and I know I'm getting off track, here's a guy that has done well. He's recruited well. He's got a great recruiting class, got some transfers coming in, and he's gone. I'm the guy that complains about the portal almost as bad as anybody. These doggone kids jump in and start transferring all over the place, even though they have great success at where they're at. They always think they can do better, go bigger. And now you get a coach that breaks a contract, and he does it. And we don't say much. It was brought out last night in one of the shows I heard on National Network. What do you think about a coach doing that? Should he be penalized? Should coaches not be allowed to get out of their contract? Of course, Bama had to pay Washington, I think it was $12 million to get DeBoer, to DeBoer's buyout. But I don't know if I even want to get into all that. To me, it is two different animals. I don't mind a coach leaving. I don't like seeing players leave all over. But I base that on, I think, winning is player directed more so than coaching. A program that wins is you got to have players. Now, of course, the coach is responsible at college level for bringing them in, but players dictate wins more so than coaches.
Well, I also want to get, maybe today's show is not the appropriate time as far as we have enough time to dive into this in depth, but I brought it up to one of my sports writer brethren, if you will, colleagues, that, Ed, I feel like that we are in a situation where the veteran coaches at all levels, professionally, collegiately, high school level, and you're a veteran coach, high school, 500 plus wins, but Nick Saban retiring, Bill Belichick nearing the finish line, where some of the older coaches are, for better or worse, I don't know if there's a right answer, being phased out, or it's pushing them out, especially in college athletics, where you're seeing the Jim Boeheim's gone, Krzyzewski gone, Roy Williams gone. I mean, Tom Izzo's like your elder statesman, and his team's not playing particularly well right now in the Big Ten after being predicted by yours truly as a national championship team before the season and a Final Four team. They might even get in the tournament as we're looking at now. By the way, my sleeper now, Grand Canyon. I'm all on the Antelopes, baby. All the way. Grand Canyon probably might beat my dad's Dukes of JMU to go to the Final Four, right? No, I'm curious to get your take on that as we get further into the winter months here in the springtime, because I think it's happening all over, especially in intercollegiate athletics and all over. But it's time for a buy or sell coaching edition. Ed loves his coaches. He is a coach. We got 5 burning questions for all of you to weigh in on. If you're out there, comment, send us a question, send us your thought. We'll pop you up on the screen on our YouTube, from our Facebook or our Twitter or X at 757 Sports Talk. First buy or sell question, Edward. Bill Belichick will be coaching the Atlanta Falcons, who famously blew a 28-3 third quarter lead against the Patriots in Super Bowl 51 that New England rallied to win 34-28 in overtime. Now, if you heard Bob Socci earlier on, his name's spelled like Bob Socci, by the way. I was going to joke about that with Bob, too, but your name's spelled like Socci, by the way, S-O-C-C-I. Bob Socci. I can hear some old baseball announcer say that to him. We got Bob Socci in the booth with us. No, Bob was great. Bob kind of hinted at, Ed, he could see Belichick in Atlanta. So are you buying or selling this one? Bill Belichick will be coaching the Falcons next season. Who knows who their quarterback will be? I have a hunch it's not going to be Desmond Ridder or former ODU great Taylor Heineke. It's probably going to be somebody in the draft or through free agency.
As much as I want to say I'm buying it, it's the best fit for him. Of course, we like Justin Herbert over there with the Chargers, where everybody says maybe that's where Harbaugh is going to go.
Did you say Herbert?
Hebert.
No, Justin Herbert, Chargers, yeah.
Yeah, the Charger quarterback.
Go ahead.
Jackpot guy. By the way, that's his grandson. I found
I didn't know that.
It's his
Tell me
grandson.
something.
Yes,
Okay, good
the
to know.
guy that's on Family Guy.
All right.
Is Justin? Is his grandson? I didn't know that.
Okay. Anyway, we go back to your
Anyway,
point though with Belichick.
I'm gonna. I don't know why I'm saying this because it's probably in my mind today, which is not all here. Sell it.
You're selling it. I'm buying it because who else are the Falcons going to get? An Arthur Blank, Mr. Home Depot himself, Arthur Blank. He looks like one of those consiglieres in the Family Guy. But no, you remember that episode too. But or one of those movies. I think Blank is going to make sure he makes a splash. And if he can't get Kirby Smart from Georgia, which would be a splash, he's not.
He's not.
I think Belichick is his guy. Who I don't think Belichick wants to go to the West Coast.
I'm going to ask you this then: if it's going to be, I'm going to tell you by Monday, Tuesday, he better hire him. The longer he waits, the more it tells me they're not bringing him in.
Well, he could be waiting to see if Mike McCarthy falls flat on his face against the Packers. And then
now
there's Jerry Jones.
Matt, there's a big key. One of the national guys was talking about this last night. That New England moves quick and hires Mayo. That's a different vibe there. He's already on staff. They've been successful. He's been successful. It's logical. Move him up. Why is everybody else waiting? There's speculation that if some guys lose in the first round or even second round, they're gone. Believe it or not, but that's this day and age. Successful coaches getting fired. Back in the day, it was losing coaches. Now it's successful coaches getting fired, which is asinine, but that's a whole nother story. So, and one of those guys, a lot of people believe if McCarthy loses to Green Bay, he's out. And even the guy with the Eagles, oh my God,
Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni. Okay,
they're saying because of their second half meltdown, if they lose first round, he could be gone. And again, I think to myself, these guys are winners. They lose one playoff game and they're gone.
Well, and listen, I know he won a Super Bowl, but Doug Peterson didn't exactly ingratiate himself with Jacksonville when they finished. Now he's not going to get fired now. Pete Carroll's was a bit of a surprise. And by the way, Pete Carroll's been put on the back burner because of the news with Saban and Belichick this week. Ordinarily, it'd have been your...
To me, that's another one. There's a guy's done well, and all of a sudden they get rid of him.
And there doesn't seem to be a landing spot for Pete right now. Maybe there is going to be one that we're not talking about, but he's kind of being forgotten about a little bit.
Well, I look at it this way. Atlanta would probably look at him. If the Belichick thing doesn't come through, I think Pete Carroll in Atlanta is perfect, absolutely perfect. I think Pete would probably like to still coach. I think it's burning in him. Not quite, and this thing about Belichick will still coach, and everybody says because he wants to beat Shula. I don't put no money on that. That's not why he will continue coaching, that he wants to be considered the greatest coach. That's not Belichick's mindset.
No, but I think he wants to end on a good note. All you coaches do, and it's a little bit of the Brady went to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl. He wants to go win one and say, I can do it without Brady. I think there's a little bit of that. Let's go to the next buy or sell question. Yeah.
It could, but he's not trying to get the 8 or 10 wins or whatever he needs to beat Shula. I don't know Belichick, but I know Belichick. That's not why he would want to continue coaching. I think he still wants to continue coaching because he wants to continue coaching.
All right, let's go to our next one. Jim Harbaugh will be coaching an NFL team when the 2024-2025 season begins. Are you buying or selling that one, sir? Jim Harbaugh.
I will buy it only because the world tells me you better. Why?
Better.
He's a Michigan man. They won a national title.
Not a Michelin man. He's a Michigan man.
Michigan man. He's recruited. He's getting money. Why would he leave? Now, the main reason he would want to leave, he don't want to deal with the NCAA, and he's going to have to deal with them. There are going to be some sanctions coming. I don't know how harsh, but they are coming, and he may not want to deal with that. One of the reasons Saban retired, I listened to his interview. He's talking about for a younger guy, but if you really listen to him, he doesn't want to deal with the portal. He doesn't want to deal with the money, even though Alabama's paid their players for years, as far back as Bear Bryant, the legendary Bear Bryant was coaching. A lot, and it goes to what you said a few minutes ago, Matt, on why coaches are leaving. And you mentioned a slew of basketball guys. The new rules, the new way of doing things, some guys just don't want to get. It's a good way for them to say, I'm done, leave on top, let somebody else deal with all those crazy shenanigans, which is kind of why some of those old heads will step away especially when they look like they can still win. But that would be a reason for Harbaugh to leave. That's why I'm buying it.
You're buying. I'm buying too. I think he's going to be coaching the Chargers. That's my
That's
my
what I would feel. That would be his.
Speaking of the Chargers, buy or sell, the Chargers will announce their next head coach before the Washington Commanders. Are you buying that or are you selling that?
I'm going to buy it.
I'm going to buy this one as well.
If it's Harbaugh you want to get, you don't want to take any chances. Go ahead and get him. Go ahead and get him. So I'll buy that one too.
I'm not sure who the Commanders are going to get at this point. I mean, they're running out of options at this moment. They weren't going to bring Ron Rivera back. I really don't. Maybe they're waiting for a McVay or a Tomlin when the playoffs are over to try to see if they can throw more money than anybody can throw at them. Those two come to mind, and Harbaugh might be on their wish list too. He could go coach 5 minutes on the road from his brother in Baltimore. But I'm buying this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, Washington has a committee led by former Golden State architect Bob Myers.
Yeah,
which is interesting. Now, does that mean they're going to scour the countryside? My gut feeling is they're going to hire a coordinator, a hotshot coordinator, which obviously people say the guy with Detroit, Ben Johnson, would be one that comes to mind. And another thing, a lot of people was these quarterbacks mentality. You got to hire somebody who can deal with quarterbacks. So does that mean an offensive-minded, an offensive coordinator, a guy who's had quarterback coaching experience? Is that who you bring in as your head coach, or you bring in the best head coach possible? And if he's not quarterback-minded, like a Harbaugh, then you bring in those coordinators that are guys that have had that experience. It's going to be interesting on Washington. I think they're going to take a bit with the idea. You don't hire a committee to get a guy and then you name him in 24 hours. It usually takes a bit.
Sure. Next one, we got two more left. Buy or sell, Antonio Pierce will be back as the head coach of Las Vegas Raiders in 2024-2025. Pierce was 5-4 as interim head coach of Ed's Raiders. You buying or selling this one?
It's a tough one for me. I'm Raiders my team. I like Antonio Pierce.
But
I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather have Mike Vrabel than Antonio Pierce.
Really? So this could be a swap where the Titans get Antonio Pierce and the Raiders get Mike Vrabel? Pierce deserves this job.
The key here is McDaniels lost the proverbial locker room. Players didn't really respond to him. Pierce and quickly got it back together. They performed for him. You could tell they were excited. If he's not brought back, there could be a mutiny with them Raider players. Right. Guys trying to get out, leave, whatever.
Bring him back.
Bring
him back.
Yeah, I don't understand why Mark Davis, really hasn't come out and said, hey, what's all the hubbub? He's our head coach, period. Take the interim tag away. Why he hasn't come out and done that mystifies me a little bit. Does he want to leave it open to see a potential Mike Vrabel or somebody else coming out on the market? Mark Davis, take the interim tag off, give Pierce the job. I'll buy it. He needs to be the head coach. Don't know he's the best fit, but right now he is.
He's the only fit. I'm buying it. You said you're buying it or you're selling it?
No, I'll buy it. I'm
buying everything today. I got all kinds of money.
Well, you should be. You've been doing well in the field of.
Don't tell people that.
Of guessing who's going to win. Yeah.
I didn't bring it up last segment before I got last buy or sell. So a day after the Virginia Preps Classic, yours truly, myself, and I won a contest. I won a contest. They wanted to give me Ed free tickets in a suite to the Washington Wizards. I mean, they can't give it away to anybody, so they found me, right? Washington Wizards and San Antonio Spurs on January 20th. Problem is, we got a Virginia Preps Classic. I wanted to take it and give it away to one of my loyal fans at the Classic or anybody. They wouldn't let me do that. And my dad loves the Spurs. You know, he'd love to go see everyone knows it's Victor Wembanyama, but we couldn't pull that off. So I was because I'm out of luck. Well, I won a contest courtesy of one of the sports companies out there. I don't say which because they don't sponsor the show. So they don't sponsor the show. I'm not telling you which one. And so I won 2 free tickets to the Wizards game, and they shifted it from Wizards Spurs to the 21st, Wizards and the Denver Nuggets with the Joker. Now watch him be sitting out, him and Jamal Murray not play against the Wizards.
Right, which is a good possibility.
Kids, very good possibility.
Management
Wiz
of game
kids,
loading.
it's a pool party with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma against the Nuggets on January 21st on a Sunday game that tips at 6 o'clock. Not only that, and you don't know this part, and by the way, maybe I'll take Ed Young, maybe I'll take somebody else. Maybe I'll take a lucky fan out there. We don't know yet. We'll figure that out in the next, we got 8 days to figure this out. But I also found out, courtesy of my gal Amanda, who gave me this, they have asked me to be the co-captain of the game, which means as one of the co-capitals of the game that night, you get to stand on the court where the team captains before the game starts, and you're the co-capital of the game. How about that? Me on the court. NBA game. I always told you I'd make it the big time, Edward, and the NBA. Wizards and Nuggets.
Hatfield talking shot with the NBA guys. Wouldn't it be great if Brandon Adair was the official? And that's who
you know what he could be. And Brandon's probably watching this. I know he's got to be out there. I know he follows someone on Instagram, Twitter. I hope Brandon is out there. I don't know if he's on. I know we've had him on the radio show before as a guest. After you asked him, after Ed asked him 8,000 questions that he can't answer, which I mean, Ed's asking him every question known to man that he knows he cannot answer.
Brandon's stepping a company policy. Well, give him a few more years. He'll be able to. Yeah, they ain't going to get rid of him.
So how about that? So well, let me ask you, since I'm such a generous guy, and I feel so bad for you losing last night in overtime, a heartbreaker. Would you want to go see the Wizards and Nuggets play next Sunday? We do anything special? Go have a pool party with Jordan Poole and Nikola Jokic, your buddy Mike Malone.
I gotta. If it wasn't on a Sunday night, god dang.
Oh my gosh! Listen to you.
By the time we get back and the partying we would do,
the partying. You're in a suite. How many times are you going to get a chance in your life to be in a suite at an NBA game?
And
NBA game.
We got the Wizardettes going to be at the game. The Wizardettes.
Oh, that's what you want to go for. Listen to you.
Wow. I can't. Maybe you should put it up for loyal listener.
But maybe you can audition for the Wizards job because Wes Unseld Jr. ain't gonna be there very long. He could be the next coach.
They see that disaster from last night. I couldn't audition for grade school bitty basketball. That's intriguing. It really is. I love seeing the NBA games. I haven't been to a Wizard game. You know, I'm not one of these guys that because a team sucks, I don't want to go see games. I want to go see the Hornets play. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA. I just like to watch basketball.
Well, but here's my question, too, to the audience. If we go to this next Sunday, which I'm not turning it, I'm going by heck or high water, how long will it take for them to throw us out of the suite?
That's the other problem I would think we would have. You'd find a way to screw it up. Or if I go, I'm going to look for all the food in the world. I'm going to do it up well. I'm in the suite. I need some food.
Buy or sell. Here's our last buy or sell question. Mick Cronin will be coaching a basketball team other than the UCLA Bruins, maybe the Washington Wizards, when the 2024-2025 campaign commences following a 46-point loss to Utah, not the Jazz, the Utes. 2 Utes.
46. I didn't see that.
They are currently 6-10, 1-4, and I should have. We'll have to get it on a future show. We had Bill Walton last week. Some sound from him. But some of the sound bites from Mick Cronin in his press conference are just, I mean, they are drop dead.
I can imagine. I wish I got to go back and watch that sound bites. Mick Cronin has been known to blow his stack many a times.
Yes, he is.
Coaching at Cincinnati.
I'll be honest with you, and I think Mick Cronin's the front runner for the Louisville gig. Now, Louisville just got a big win over Jim Larinaga, my guy in Miami. But I don't think Mr. Payne's going to be there long. I think either Will Wade or Mick Cronin will be coaching at Louisville next season, and possibly Will Wade could be at Arizona State because I'm not sure Bobby Hurley's days are going to be for much longer. And I know Bobby's wanting to come on the show with us. We were talking to him back in the PIT. He did coach your guy Shannon Evans, so me saying that might hurt our chances. But nonetheless, I think Cronin's. I'm going for a first ever time I've ever done this. I'll buy or sell. I've gone a complete clean sweep. Buy. I'm buying it. This team is done. They have tuned him out, and as a veteran coach. Not saying this to you, but when the players start tuning you out, it is time. And I think he is mentally out of it too. He wants to go somewhere else. Mick Cronin's a good basketball coach. Not saying he isn't, but he coaches them so hard, and this team's not the type of team that's bought into that, and they're getting worse and worse, and it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. 6-10, 1-4 in the basement of the Pac-12 and last year the Pac-12, the Conference of Champions, the great UCLA Bruins, the legendary John Wooden, the guy that I played for. I was stealing colors with Detlef Schrempf for smelling colors. It's time for Mick to go out the door.
Another 46-point loss probably would seal it for sure. That's a tough one to go.
They play Arizona or Oregon or somebody like that, Southern Cal with Bronny James and Boogie Ellis. It's going to happen.
Well, if they're not going to listen to you as a coach, the players are not going to listen to the coach to get stuff done. I don't see how you're going to get stuff done. I would have to buy it, begrudgingly buy it too.
So you bought 4 or 5 today?
Yeah, I bought 4 of the 5. And the one that I sold, I probably should have bought. It's Belichick getting the Atlanta job. Probably get hired tomorrow. I'll go. Cronin will be out.
That's going to complete buy or sell. When we come back, it's NFL picks time. Pearl, Young, and Hatfield. Stay tuned. One more set of commercials, and then we're back to put the finishing touches on this edition of the pod on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Available on Cova Sports TV. Come on back.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we are back, 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV and the folks at Hometown Sports Productions, Virginia Beach Sports Plex. Matt Hatfield here with the Coach Ed Young. We're also on Facebook streaming 757 Sports Talk on Twitter or X. And so much more for all of you today, as I thought I sent you the right thing, Edward, and I did not send it to you. Somehow when I copy and pasted it, it did not work right. So let me do that again for you for 1 second here. And while I do that real quickly, we will take one more quick, this will be a miniature break and come back with that because I have to send you that. So this will be a mini break and we'll come right back. Hang tight.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, we are back now. Time for the NFL picks here on this edition of the program. It's Super Wild Card Weekend. You like that title, Ed? Super Wild Card Weekend for the National Football League.
I got no problem with it. I mean, you got to drum it up. You got to put this. The problem I have is putting Miami, Kansas City on Peacock. I'm with everybody that's on a rant and rave. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But and I'm interested about the crazy weather. I feel for the players. 25 below zero and you're playing. Can you imagine getting hit, being that cold and getting hit?
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I hate cold weather.
Let's go through the final pick standings, shall we, Ed? Would you like to read it for the audience, how it finished up there?
No, I would not like to read it.
You don't want to read it?
No.
Oh, well, I'll read it for you. 27-22-5 for Bruce Pearl, who got himself a couple of nice wins thanks to New Orleans' -3 cover against Atlanta. The Dirty Birds went down and missed the playoffs. Arthur Smith wanted to fight Dennis Allen, and we almost had a full-blown brawl there on the field, which would have been something. Meanwhile, after Jameis Winston's decision to let his back get a touchdown, Tampa Bay -4.5 won an ugly game with the Panthers, shut out. He did lose on his +13.5 for the Washington Commanders, as the football team could not win the football game in the football stadium against the Dallas Cowboys. We won't call them the Redskins anymore. We're now called the Commanders. But 2-1 for Brucey. So he goes 27-22-5. Good winning year for him. I finished in second place thanks to under 48.5 Bills 21, Dolphins 14. Check mark there for me. Thank you, sir. Las Vegas -3. The Raiders win 27-14 in their ball game. Was that against the Broncos? I think it was. Check mark there. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Antonio Pierce. And then Cincinnati -7.5. That was an easy one against the Browns. Check, please. 3-0 for me. Ed lost. Houston beat Indianapolis 23-19, so +1.5 to not win for him. Jets +1.5 was not his pick. He had Patriots -1.5. The Jets beat Bill Belichick, ending the Evil Hoodies' great run in New England. And Jacksonville -3.5 was a miserable finish for him, losing 28-20 to the Titans. So Ed finishes in last place, despite having a hot streak at one point where he was like 11-1 through 4 weeks at one point in the year, or 10-1-1. So we are timed now, ready for the picks for this week. And since Bruce won, he gets to go first here, Ed. Cleveland -2.5 is the pick for Pearl against C.J. Stroud and the Texans. He likes Joe Flacco and the boys with Owusu-Koramoah and Thornhill, a couple of Virginia natives. He likes the Steelers getting 9.5 with a lot of points. It was 10 at one point against the Bills in the cold weather. Take Tomlin as a big dog, more than a touchdown. Woof, woof. He'll get it done, even if it is Mason Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer at quarterback against Josh Allen and the inconsistent Buffalo Bills. And his last pick, he's taken Detroit -3, and he has Jared Goff getting the better of Matthew Stafford against his former over-under of Steelers-Bills probably going under, but it's 33.5, which is a super low total. I could get a bad beat. I'm going to stay away from it for this week because I want to beat you. And the object of this game is to defeat you and beat you and suffocate you and make you just squeeze your head.
A lot of animosity built up. Life's too short to be that angry. You got to let it go.
You know what? To get into this first game today, I'm rooting for points, baby. Cleveland's defense on the road is not great. Sorry, Owusu, Koromoa, Thornhill. I have Myles Garrett, a great pass rusher. Sorry, Bob Lanham. Houston can move the football down the field, and Houston's defense is not exactly a shutdown unit. Give me over 44.5. Cleveland, Houston, a lot of points in that game. That's pick number 2. Really want to take the over-under of Packers-Cowboys for pick number 3. It's 50.5. It's a lot of points. Dallas's defense, their safety play is not very good. Aaron Jones did a great second half, and Jordan Love is starting to find his rhythm. Plus, Dak Prescott will hit CeeDee Lamb, probably involve the tight end Jake Ferguson in this game too, against the Green Bay defense that has been spotty at times as well. But I'm going to stay off that. Rams-Lions is very intriguing to me. I tell you what, I think that's got a lot of potential there with the Lions to win that ball game outright and cover the 3. I'm leaning that direction, but I'm going to take a gamble here, and this one's going to bite me in the butt. Biggest total on the board is 51.5, Rams-Lions. I could see Detroit running the football to try to control the clock, and I think this might just squeeze under. It's not a play I love, but I'm going to take a chance on this one. Hope I get a backdoor. You know, they run the clock out and win this sucker like 28-21. 27-24, get it by half a point. Give me under 51.5 Lions Raiders. So 2 totals for me. Chiefs minus the 4.5 is the big play. Like the over 44.5 of Browns Texans. Ed literally took my 2 plays I was looking at really, really hard. So I'll take a little bit of a flyer. I beat him regular season, see if I can rally like I did late in the season, maybe in the playoffs if I get behind here. I'll take under 51.5 for the Lions and the Rams. You're up, sir, for your last selection to go with.
Intrigued.
2.5 and under 43.5 Chiefs Dolphins.
I want to go under Cowboys Packers. I don't think they get to 50. I want to go under 33.5 Pittsburgh Buffalo. I see somebody getting the lead and running the hell out of the ball the rest of the way. Because how are you going to throw in a snowstorm or a blizzard all over the place if that's what's coming? That's what's coming. I like Detroit over the Rams, but something tells me the Rams are going to let people remind people they won the Super Bowl last year, if I'm not mistaken.
He's torn, folks. He's torn. He's stalling and he's torn.
I'm torn. Like an old pair of my pants, I'm just torn. Give me Dallas minus 7 over Green Bay.
Wow, you are taking that gamble. I hope this has 31-28, 33-29 written all over it. 34-30, 2-point conversion. Remember, I took the bad beat thanks to Dan Campbell. And speaking of Dan Campbell, before we sign off here, I would like you to read this, Ed, before we sign off. Your buddy, we've been holding it all season long. This is Dan Campbell on his pregame routine before primetime games. I don't know if it's true or not. I say it's a meme, but I think he said this because he's wacky enough to say this. Go ahead, read it for me.
I'm not reading this thing out loud because I'm already in the middle of reading it. And I would start laughing too hard all the way through it. Dino Protein. He's hopped up on Dino Protein. That's
Steven Seagal movies, baby.
He makes sweet love to Mrs. Campbell with a photo of the opposed team's coach take them.
11 raw ostrich eggs. Can't you see him doing it?
Oh, my God. Who puts it up? Oh, my God.
This guy drinks 4 energy drinks before breakfast, man.
Dan Campbell has become my hero now.
He's your hero.
He makes sweet love to Mrs. Campbell with a photo of the opposing team's coach.
So we can play the Bette Midler. Did you ever know that you're my hero? The wind beneath my wings. We can play that for you and Dan Campbell. Ed Young hero, ladies and gents.
I can't comment on that one. Wow.
When biceps are blazing and his body is hopped up on Dino Protein.
No, it's Dino Protein.
Yeah, there you go. It's Dan Campbell. That's going to do it for this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Enjoy your Saturday, Ed. Stay out of people's harm's way today because you could be a mean guy. But I'm trying to lighten the mood. See, you're smiling now. You're laughing. It's okay.
I'll be on the low key today. I'm going to avoid